connected. Now recording. Hi everyone. I'm Susan Peel from Employers Group. I'm Senior Talent Development Specialist, Organizational Development Consultant, and a Predictive Index Behavioral Assessment Master Trainer and Practitioner. And thank you for joining us today for STAY interviews. So my intention with this presentation that I delivered at our WELU sessions, our Workplace Employment Law Update sessions last November, my intention was to give you information, some statistics that you'd use to sell the idea of STAY interviews and why they're useful and important. And then I'm also giving you the actual process to implement a STAY interview process and plan. And so we'll go start to finish, and some of us have actually implemented this since our WELU in November, and they've had good results already. So, I hope that this is helpful for you, and at the end of this deck is my email address, so you're welcome to contact me at any time. Ask further clarifying questions. Okay. All right, sorry, I was having a little trouble moving my slide there. So imagine that one of your managers goes to their senior leader and says, I want to tell you what I've been doing with my team to improve their retention, engagement, and productivity. I've conducted individual STAY interviews with each of them. I'll fully understand what drives them, what inhibits their performance, and we've developed a STAY plan for each one. We're opportunities for learning and solving problems, and we've invented some new solutions too. Also forecasted how long each employee will stay with us and how each will score on our next engagement survey. I'd like to walk you through the highlights of each of the interviews and plans, and I look forward to your feedback and support of our efforts. Well, if this senior leader had a manager tell them all this, they would probably pout on the floor. It's possible, though, and it's easier than you might think. So is a STAY interview. STAY interviews are one-on-one meetings between leaders and their newly hired and continuing employees to improve engagement and retention. It's between the employee and HR. It's between the leader and the employee. And the conversations are about what's important to the employee, not what's important to the leader. It's to elicit feedback on how the organization can better engage them and to identify motivations for what keeps them from leaving and what will continue to keep them from leaving. STAY are one-on-ones. They're designed to build trust. They're structured meetings conducted by the managers. The manager asks questions and listens. So as you can imagine, you're going to have to train your managers to listen. They're filled 1 to 2 times per year or more, and definitely within 90 days for new hires. They're focused, about 20 to 30 minutes long, and include a STAY plan for action and following up. These are not asking for feedback at a team meeting in front of everybody else. They're designed to just get answers. They're designed to get action items. They're not the manager. They're not a casual office discussion as you're walking through the office area. You don't pause and have a STAY interview with the person right at their cubicle. And only when there's a problem. They're not about pay and performance. They're not directed by HR, and they're not a personal development plan. Though, as a result of the interview and the information that the employee gives, development might be a part of the STAY plan. They're training and coaching, and they're not long random rant sessions. Though if an employee has a lot to say, and that often happens, especially if they've not been given a chance to talk much with their manager one-on-one, or now feeling brave enough to talk morally, the manager could certainly schedule another STAY interview. You can do more than a session with an employee. The point is to solve the problems completely and to get information to take action. So We want to start with a 20 to 30-minute time frame for each discussion, but certainly if an employee needs more, then the supervisor or manager would schedule it. So interviews are designed to bring information that the manager can use today. We want the manager taking action right away and certainly getting things going in a stay plan within 30 days. It's not something that's supposed to wait and being drawn out. It's very practical, what we're hoping for. It focus on individual employees, including top performers. And your top performers, you don't want them to be a flight risk because they're doing well and they're driving the success of the business. So you definitely want to identify, maybe talking to the top performers first. They'll then lay out your stay plan in any way that you choose to execute it. I'll give you a way to do it today, but you can certainly do it any way that you feel is right for your company at this point in time. Stay interviews really do put the managers in the solution seat because they're going to get practical information that they must take action on right away. So engagement surveys get us data, but they don't drill down to specifics. On an engagement survey, an employee or 10 employees might say they want better communication, but better communication is going to mean something different to each one of them. One wants a one-on-one face-to-face every week with their leader, and that's better communication. Another one might mean they want it to be more respectful. The other one might mean they want to have input to how decisions are made, and it might just want to be kept in the loop. So we need to have stay interviews to get more precise action items. This chart I gave you, even though it only goes to 2016, the voluntary quits, which is the top line on the graph, the line, they're still increasing. It's just the 2018 chart was kind of to look at. So this was the cleanest one I could get at the Department of Labor website. So voluntary quits are really on the rise, and that's pretty scary. In the middle of 2018, the labor market saw an upsurge of people jumping jobs to jobs more than in about 20 years. And that's because there were jobs to jump to. And yeah, nowadays they can jump for more pay, which is something you probably need to take a look at, your compensation strategy. But pay is still not the top thing on the list that people are looking for when asked what you need to stay here or want to stay here longer. The volunteer quits is a very strong reason that a stay interview program would be great. This slide is more about the quit and stay syndrome. People who have quit in their minds, but they stay at work and they're still collecting a paycheck. They're just not working optimally, not happy. So both gray zones are aged people. And what's really scary, this is almost 20 years of data. And again, this chart only goes to 2016, but I can tell you that the statistics remain the same up through 2018. So in about 18 years, engagement has remained static. 75%-ish, 70 to 75% of all workforce is disengaged. And that's really scary. And you know that when people are disengaged, the average number around how much income you lose when they're disengaged is 30% of a person's income is lost when disengaged. And the people in the dark gray zones all the way to the right of the slide, they're really disengaged. So these are people who are like to be jumping ship quickly than the ones in the mid-gray zone. We really have to pay attention to what helps our employees feel engaged, because happy people are productive people. Engaged people are productive people. What will help them want to stay working for us so that we don't lose our investment? Stay interviews, and there's much more than what's on this slide, but this is a pretty vivid set of examples. Hilton International had 5 call centers that averaged 55% annual turnover. 50% of new agents failed to reach 90 days of employment. So I hired the managers to send 90-day retention reports to the CEO and conduct stay interviews with new hires at 30 and 90 days of employment. The company reduced their turnover by 50% in 4 months' time. So this accountability aspect of requiring managers to report on their retention numbers as well as conduct stay interviews is going to be a key piece of your plan. First, retirement community conducted stay interviews for nurses after 30 days of employment and annually for veteran employees, and the turnover among veteran nurses decreased by 72%. So you get some really great turnaround numbers by conducting these stay interviews. Now, this slide is showing that there are several opportunities to intervene, and we're not doing it, and so the result is turnover. In leadership program, our Leadership Academy, we have a course called Engaging and Retaining Talent, and I do share this info in that course. Not all of the stay interviews, but this slide in particular and a couple of the other slides, we show leaders to help them understand that you got to get in there and talk with people about engagement, have engagement conversations. Otherwise, and it's your fault if they leave, pretty much. You get in there and take action. So the first trigger is a set of conditions or incidences that may happen in the employee's work life that could get them starting to feel disengaged. They didn't receive a promotion they wanted. They realized the job is not what they had expected. Maybe get a new supervisor. It's confusing, or the relationship isn't being built, or the supervisor's just not very nice. Good people skills. Maybe that's a tough interaction with a colleague, or there's some bad relationships amongst team members or across teams competing in a healthy way. Maybe a colleague resigned and it was their go-to person or their friend at work, and now feeling kind of disconnected and alone at work. Maybe they're just having frustration over a bunch of accumulated issues, which I can tell you because I go on site to do training almost every single day. I hear a lot of that last bullet point especially. Just frustration and giving up and feeling like, it is what it is, nothing's going to change. Just more obstacles for us to have to hack through day to day. So if nobody gets in and says, hey, you're not quite seeming like yourself, or your energy's a little different, is everything okay? Or, hey, I know that your friend so-and-so has left the company. I just wanted to check in with you and make sure that you're feeling I'm supporting you as much as you need, and we do to help you feel good coming to work every day and feel engaged and feel supported in the ways that you need to be supported. If those conversations are not had, then the employee is going to start having some stronger feelings. And I don't like the word attitude on this chart. It implies maybe that the employee has a bad attitude, but that's what it means. It just means they're having feelings. Decreased satisfaction, commitment, maybe less trust in the employer, etc. If we still don't intervene, then we're going to start seeing more behaviors. The employee may actively start a new employment elsewhere. So then we get turnovers. Leaders have several opportunities to intervene, and if they're not doing it, they're going to get disengagement, lowered productivity, and potentially turnover. Lots of good reasons to do the stay interview. Now, Richard Finnegan is a name that if you read more about stay interviews or you go on the internet, a lot of the different sources that I encountered referred to him and his process. And I have read his book, and I'll show it to you at the end, and I attended a webinar of his as well. And this is his 5-step process, and he really says, follow this process, do it in order, and we're going to do his questions that he says people should ask, that the supervisors should ask. And he said, ask those in order. So he takes a very structured approach to stay interviews. I'm also including at the end of this deck another source that I really, really liked, and they use some of it, but they take a slightly less strict what questions you can ask, etc. And so You got to figure out what's going to feel right for your organization at this point in time. Go through it anyway. So the first thing you're going to do is figure out your dollars, and you can do that with the managers. Have them calculate what their turnover costs actually are. There's a formula for lost productivity and what that costs, and you download the PowerPoint of this file from the Employers Group website to look in the notes view and pick up a few extra things, but that I'm sharing out loud today. But really, I'm sharing almost a whole enchilada. I'm sharing the whole enchilada with you today. Calc productivity is really difficult, so I called a few general managers and asked them, how do you calculate lost productivity? And they said, usually just go with the 1/3 number. So 30% of a person's salary goes down the drain in lost productivity. And it is certainly a consistent number in engagement statistics. I have a slide that shows you that coming up, so you can use that to show senior leaders or anybody else that you want to get buy-in from into this process. If you calculated the cost, then you and the managers are going to sit down together one-on-one, and you're going to have them create retention goals. So what percentage or what dollar amount will they improve their retention numbers by what point in time? Then they'll have the stay interviews, and you'll train them how to do that. And then they'll forecast how long people are going to stay. And I'll show you a forecasting map a little bit later in this deck. And then they're also going to send you accountability numbers. So you'll create a spreadsheet with the managers' names, and I'll show you what this looks like later in the deck. Their retention goals, and where are they year to date? Are they on target? Are they below? Are they ahead? Etc. So that process. Each role, you're going to have to train your leaders, from executives to frontline supervisors, to effectively conduct the stay interviews with their direct reports. So leaders have not had leadership training in the recent past or at all. They really greatly benefit from some good leadership training. I'll talk in a moment about our leadership training. It is quite good. But we want them comfortable being coaches and mentors, comfortable communicating with their direct reports, comfortable sitting down and writing goals together. So a little training on that. Probably just to learn how to do the stay interviews, though, and why they're important, and making a stay plan, etc. You need to do an hour or hour and a half of training with them if communication skills are in a good place. Now, this process may help them grow their communication skills. So, while to do leadership training first, you could get going on the stay interview process right away. And, just for people, like I'm going to prepare you with this presentation and the info in this deck. Just prepare them to stay and what to do if they don't know what to do next. It shouldn't be too difficult. So we're going to train them build trust, or that stay interviews do build trust. And part of trust building means that the leader has to take action on the information they receive. If they don't, then the employees will lose faith. You're going to know how to ask probing questions for effective and efficient stay interviews. So we don't want to ask just a surface question and then move on to the next one. They need to learn to clarify and understand when they have clarified enough or when they need to clarify more. Basically, if they don't have an action plan that we and the manager understand and can agree to, then they haven't clarified enough. And they plan and they have to forecast. So you'll just train them how to do these things. And I'll show you examples in this deck. A study found that 75% of reasons for voluntary employee turnover are things that could be influenced by managers. And I'll show you a pie chart in a moment. That's next. That some of the things that employees have left for, they left, and they're all things the manager could have changed. Now, a Swedish study found that loss actually raises an employee's chance of having a heart attack by as much as 60%. So people skills or just an unwillingness to help people, part can actually create some major health problems. Now, in the right corner, you see my little, hey, have great leadership training. We do. It's fantastic. And you may qualify for state funds, and we get those state funds for you and manage that so you don't have to deal with the administration of the grant. So you get your training paid for partially or a larger amount. It just depends on how you qualify, but we'll help you with that. And we also offer our Leadership Academy in a public format. So we offer it 3 times a year, and we have real soon in January, 3 times a year in about 5 different locations around California, and that is covered by state funds as well. So please be sure to contact us and ask about leadership training. We can do it on site and do a program that really fits your people and your objectives, or you can send them to our public programs. And the public program is 10 courses. It happens over the course of 5 days, and each day is a couple weeks apart. So it's a reasonable schedule. Solid information, too. They will get lots of communication skills, setting SMART goals, leading change, good with change management, engagement, teamwork, etc. So it's a really excellent program. We hope that you ask us about it. Pie chart with the reasons people leave are all reasons that managers had influence over. So if we look below the pie chart, I know it's kind of a pale font there. Limited career opportunities, lack of respect and support from supervisor, interesting job duties, or supervisor lacks leadership skills and has poor employee relations, favoritism by supervisor, no recognition. I actually have leaders in leadership training ask me, do I really have to say please and thank you? And I say, yes. Yeah, good question. They give you an answer, say thank you. Even though you're just asking people to do their job, your pleases and thank you. And they need to know, and we teach them this in training, that every interaction is both a teachable moment, people the great to behave, the best practices way to behave, and it's also a relationship building opportunity. So you always want to be making deposits into the relationship bank. You can't make a big withdrawal if they haven't put in enough deposits. So yes, pleases and thank yous and recognition. When employees don't get any training or development, they tend to want to leave. Poor working conditions, poor senior leadership. Lack of trust in senior leaders toggles between the number 1 or 2 spot for what is the top disengager. For discrimination, and the supervisor is just incompetent. So these are all things that could be influenced by the manager and by the organization. Would have been changed so that that employee would have stayed. 80% of managers think employees leave due to pay. And that's what they'll say in an exit interview a lot of times, because they just don't want to either create conflict or burn bridges. But in research land, employee more honest, and 88% of employees leave for reasons other than pay. And know the number 1 disengager is their direct manager. So top 3 engagement and retention drivers, and we teach this in our Engaging and Retaining Talent course in the leadership program. We do a deeper dive into each of these. That have meaningful work. What I do matters. It matters to my manager, it matters to the company, it matters to the world, it matters to me. Individual value. I'm appreciated for who I am and what I bring to the work, and encouraged to grow. And it's a great environment and culture. This is a great place to work. Notice that these are all feelings. So having high trust in one manager is an engagement driver. Feel relationships with colleagues, that's an engagement driver, and that all ties to positive environment from the previous slide. Their duties. So happy people are productive people. And organizational psychology, there's a lot of psychological studies around happiness linked to productivity. and they're all strongly influenced by the manager. So we really want to drive home with these managers that this is an important thing they should be doing. So if your culture is great and you have a high trust culture, this interview process should be pretty easy. If you've got a good chunk of work to do on your culture, get to it, and I'm happy to help you and advise you with that. Also, this stay interview process might be a way that starts building a more trusting culture, because a lot of times people just want to be heard. They want a forum to give feedback about their work and how things are going, and they want to get real help. So don't feel like you have to get everybody all trained up and ready to go and the culture all in a perfect spot before you start doing these one-on-ones. Ones can help get you there. And if the first time around, a supervisor's direct reports don't want to open up too much, that's okay. Take action on it, so it builds trust in the process, and the employees see, oh, if I speak up, they really do take action. So the second stay interview will be more open. And hopefully they're having great communication in the meantime on a day-to-day basis that continues to build that trust and openness to give and receive feedback together. Drives the top places to work. So every February, Fortune magazine puts out their 100 top places to work, and they show in the pictures are their programs, their perks, and their benefits. And those are important to people, but when deeper into the research, and the report shows that those programs and benefits only account for less than 30% of why people say their place is a top place to work. 70% ties to trust. How employees trust their manager is the key factor, and trust does lead to profits. Here's what I referred to earlier, the gray box on the right. You can use this to show to managers that the organization has done a bunch of research, and they estimated that about 1/3 of a person's salary goes down the drain when they are disengaged. If they've quit in their mind and they're staying physically, you're paying for this disengagement. The left side are some disengaged employees in the cleaning company study. They tend to do when they're disengaged. So their performance declined. They spent more time on non-work related activities. They only did just what was required to get the job done. They complain more about the organization to their coworkers, and they complain about their manager to their coworkers. So they're productive people, and disengagement can breed disengagement. Even people who are trying to work hard, if conditions around them just don't feel good, it's really hard for them to do a good job. I'm a brain science person, and so, I come across a lot of articles and studies on people's brains and how they tick and how that affects their performance in life and their performance at work. And when people are in their emotional brain because they're too stressed out, or that they keep running the move heads of, oh, how horrible things are, oh, my manager disrespects me, or I don't trust my manager, I can't talk to my manager. Nice, why aren't they holding people accountable? When people are in their emotional brains, they cannot function and do tasks. They can do a little bit, but not a lot, or maybe not at all. They can actually get sick, and that can develop into something much bigger. Just not lit up in their complex problem-solving parts of their brain. So lots of scientific information as to why we need to put attention to engagement at work, having these discussions. So what are people asking for? Well, a lot of the typical stuff they're asking for is flexibility. 70% of people would rather have more flexibility than more money. They care about them, measure them, coach them. They want a lot of feedback. So it doesn't always have to be weekly, but I think people always want to know how they're doing. Did they do this thing right? Are they okay with you? So you don't want to have your leaders going too long without checking in on their people. Leaders have a lot of contact with their people on a day-to-day basis. They need to make sure it's upbeat, positive, supportive, that they're really listening, that they're modeling great behavior, especially showing a lot of support. Opportunity, employability, fair pay, grow in place. So people want fair pay. Everybody wants more pay, but we stay for the reasons. We stay because we like the work. It feels good. We like the people, the culture, etc. Growing in place means to have a pay bump or a title to grow. They get developed. They get trained. They learn more about their role. They learn more about others around the team, more about the industry that they're in. They learn about the industry in the global market. So there's lots of ways to have people feel like they're growing, giving them a title bump or pay bump. Matter. Care about them as a person and what they bring to the work. And talked about meaningful work that helps the community. So these are some of the top things people are asking for. Slide is just a little statistical helper to show that flex, as the previous slide said, 70% of people want more flexibility. Flexibility is becoming the new normal. So 80 to 100% of people, about 1/3 of their time in some sort of flexible work arrangement, whether it's a different start and end time, or they work from home, or, you know, some flexibility means to you and to them. So that's becoming the new normal. On this list of what employees ask for most, they mostly for better work processes. So session, this was a reveal, so most people said, want more pay, they want training. And what they really want is better work processes. Like the bullet points at the bottom of the slide refer to, can eliminate this report. Why do we have to do it? It takes too long. Nobody reads it. It doesn't make sense. You get us better equipment. Can you get other people to be more accountable? Those people who aren't pulling their weight, nobody is asked to change. And employees get really frustrated when they see upper management not being held accountable. And they wonder, who's holding them accountable? They get to walk around and behave badly, or seemingly, you know, it's only what they see. In the light of real truth, they'll make up their own truth about what they see. But they get really frustrated when the senior leaders are talking about their own accountability. Not accountable. And the employees really do want to be more productive. Here's some employee wishes. Want that relationship with their manager improved. I talked about that earlier, that it means something different to each individual. They want to know what the company direction is, or they want to feel good about the company direction. They want conflicts with peers resolved and people held accountable. They want training and development. And the changes in job duties. They want stretch assignments, sometimes reduce the workload. Because after 2008, when the economy tanked, employees who stayed in employment and were not laid off were often given the work of 2 or 3 people, and then the employer said, oh, they can do that, and they just kept that, made it the new, but people are burnt out from that now. So there's the taking another look at what people are actually doing, and is it reasonable, or have we made it normal that people work 12 and 14 hours now? If that's the new normal, that's burn people out, and they're going to get frustrated and up and leave. Out of 10 workers say they've received praise in the past 7 days. So we teach our leaders to make appreciation statements. Frequently, deposits in the relationship bank. Only 4 out of 10 employees believe that their boss cares about them as a person. So really bad is when leaders say, oh, you know, people are our most important asset, but then they're not behaving like it's true. They're not doing behaviors that help the employees actually believe that's true. So that has to be paid attention to as well. Many companies are throwing out the annual performance review, and they're turning managers into coaching. So they're doing more of these one-on-one conversations, whether they're SMART conversations and or engagement conversations and stay interviews, more frequent communication and alignment on what we're doing at work and how we're doing it, and having these talks together as employee and leader are getting better productivity and better results for companies than only feedback on a deep level once or twice a year, or only having that sit-down opportunity with our boss once or twice a year. So there's say about that, but it'll come back into my mind. Okay. And I'll bring up in a moment here. So the managers are going to say, yeah, we can see why this is a good idea to do interviews, but I don't have time. I have too much to do. So, well, how do you want to spend your time? Do you want to spend your time having to interview and retrain new people with all the turnover you have, or do you want to spend the time getting to know the employees that you have, the team members that you have, build better relationships, improving productivity, etc.? So understand that this is not something you're adding to their list. It's just a box to tick off and say, I did that. It's a very deeply meaningful activity that's going to get them deep results that will probably buy them back time in work life because they'll have more alignment, more engagement, more trust, etc. When a manager does not meet with employees one-on-one at all, the employees are 4 times as likely to be disengaged, and we cost at least a third or more of their salary. They're 2 times as likely to view the leadership unfavorably compared to people who meet with their managers regularly. Oh, that thing I forgot a moment ago. Here it is. When a manager sits down and sets goals together and these one-on-one feedback conversations, it gives employee a feeling of control. It gives them back some control in their work life. And that's just change management 101, that the earlier we can give a person control in a change process, the earlier they process their feelings and buy into the change. So when people feel a sense of control in their work, they get bought into the work and what the work is asking of them. So yes, setting goals is a part of this stay interview process. And and the director report set the goals together. Men are not comfortable communicating. So this is pretty sad. Out of 16 managers, there is poll survey, and I got this from Harvard Business Review. 60% were uncomfortable communicating in general. Part of me is like, why are they leaders? Maybe they're just managers managing a function with lead people. So they have to be comfortable communicating. 7% were uncomfortable giving direct feedback about performance. 20% were uncomfortable demonstrating vulnerability, sharing that they've made mistakes too, or that they are learning, or just saying, I'm sorry, I didn't remember that, or I didn't hear that. Just be human. They're all. 20% are comfortable recognizing employee achievements. That's horrible. Man should be very comfortable being appreciative. It's the one free engager is making an appreciation statement to an employee. Actions, crediting others with good ideas, speaking face-to-face rather than email. So another big set of data that tells us we've got to train our managers to be